Okay, so VP220 is the law that sets the standards for economic and socialized housing. Okay, let's start with defining what these two things are, economic and socialized housing. So, at least according to BP220, these are housing units which are within the affordability level of the average and low income earners, which are people who can set aside 30% of their gross family income as determined by the NEDA. Now, it's important to emphasize that the standards for low-cost housing or socialized and economic housing are not the same as the standards set by the other laws. Okay, we're going to emphasize that now. The standards for BP 220 are different from the standards of PD 957, PD 1216, PD 1096, which is the building code, and PD 1185, which was the old fire code. The new fire code is RA 9514, but yeah, the standards are not the same as in the fire code. Okay, so a quick outline muna of BP 220 before we begin. It's basically two parts. Now, the first part is subdivision design. The second part is building design. In the first part, we'll talk about designing, the subdivision, roads, etc. And then we'll focus on the house or the building itself in the second part. Okay, but before we start with the first part, let's quickly talk about this. According to BP 220, the basic needs of human settlements are these six, and they're arranged according to the order of importance. Okay, pinaka-importante yung sa taas going down. So, the most important is water, followed by movement and circulation, and then by storm drainage, solid and liquid waste disposal, parks and playgrounds, and then lastly by power. Okay, and let's define a few key terms. I'm not going to cover all of the terms that were defined by BP 220, but let's go over some of them, the ones that are important to our discussion. So, first term is socialized housing. These are housing projects undertaken by the government for underprivileged and homeless citizens. The important things to remember here are the words underprivileged and homeless, because that's what really sets this apart from economic housing, which is defined as housing projects provided to average income families. We'll also encounter the word block a lot later, so let's define that. A block is a parcel of land bounded on the sides by streets, occupied by, or intended to be occupied by buildings. So lupa na may kalsada on all sides. Typically, it's going to be subdivided into lots. Next term is shell house. A shell house is a habitable dwelling unit that includes the following: all exterior walls, the floor, openings for doors and windows, plumbing fixtures, and electrical wiring. So itong term na shell house, it might make more sense if you know na meron kasi pang isang term na complete house. Yung shell house muna. Yung shell house is a term for really a state of the house that's being constructed. Like, when you're building the house, you get to a point where the house isn't yet done. It's not yet fully built. It's not yet complete. But the shell of the house is already there. Okay, so when can you say that the shell is already there? When do you say that you already have the shell house? Again, when these things are present. The exterior wall is done, the walls are done, the floor, door and window openings, plumbing fixtures, and then electrical wiring. Okay. One thing that they didn't mention, which I'm assuming is part of the shell, is the roof. Parang let's just assume that the roof is also complete, because it wouldn't really be a shell without the roof. But bottom line, once these are there, then the shell's there. Complete is when you have the shell plus the doors and the windows. Kasi door and window openings lang yung shell eh. With the actual doors and windows are there, plus the shell, plus the partitioning, and all of the other things that need to be constructed for the house, then the house is said to be complete. Okay, let's begin. So two parts tayo. Part one is subdivision design. First, some important planning considerations for subdivisions. Like when you're planning the subdivision, these are the things that you need to consider. First, try to choose a location that's safe, not subject to flooding or to other hazards. Try not to cut down trees that are too big. Okay, nakalagay dito, if the diameter of the tree is 200 millimeters or greater, try to preserve the trees. In the real world, you're going to need, there are rules, no, yung mga LGU, may kanya-kanyang rules sila usually, regarding cutting down trees. You usually need to obtain permits to cut down trees when trees are of a certain species or when they're of a certain diameter or size or certain age. It varies LGU to LGU, but The point is, in BP 220 nakalagay, diameter to 200 millimeters or more dapat i-preserve. Next, follow the easement requirements set by the other code. So for this, you'll have to check the building code and the water code. And provide major streets with extensions for future connections. Okay. Another important thing to say this early is that in BP 220, there is no fixed ratio between saleable and non-saleable lots. We have to say that kasi later sa PD 957, meron kasing ratio na ibibigay na parang 70-30 ratio. Pero here in BP 220, there's no such thing. Walang ratio between saleable and non-saleable lots. Okay, next, parks and playgrounds. Parks and playgrounds are required for, well actually, yeah, let's take a step back. Yung saleable component ng subdivision is yeah, literally, yung pwedeng ibenta, yung lote, okay, natatayuan ng bahay. Yung non-saleable components are, well, at least according to BP 220, is divided into three components, no, subcomponents. Under non-saleable, no, yung non-saleable portion ng subdivision are the parks and playgrounds, the community facilities, and the roads. So isa-isahin natin yung tatlong yun to check if they're required or not. The first one is parks and playgrounds. No, non-saleable to. First non-saleable component. Parks and playgrounds are required for projects that measure 1 hectare or above. Subdivisions 1 hectare or bigger dapat may parks and playgrounds. These are to be provided separately from community facilities. And normally po sinabing parks and playgrounds, open spaces yan, green spaces yan. Pero just to be clear, BP 220 is very clear about it. Basketball courts may be provided as part of the parks and playgrounds requirement. Okay, so how big should it be? Because we know we know when it's required, diba? Kapag daw yung subdivision is 1 hectare or bigger. So how big should it be? There's a table telling us ilang percent ng subdivision yung dapat gawing parks and playground, but the absolute minimum is always 100 square meters. Okay, whatever the percentage is, if you follow the percentage and it gives you a lower number than 100 square meters, then you have to bring it back up to 100 because it cannot be less than 100 square meters. So ito yung table na yun. So depending on the density of the subdivision, merong prescribed percentage as to how much of the subdivision should be converted to parks and playgrounds. Next non-saleable component is the community facilities component. Pagdating sa community facilities, we have a list of facilities that may or may not be required. Let's start with the most basic one, yung multi-purpose center. Ang sabi ng BP 220, a multi-purpose center is required if the project is 1 hectare or bigger. But it doesn't necessarily end there kasi they could also require you to provide a convenience or a retail center, an elementary school, a high school, or a tricycle terminal. This table tells us alin-alin dyan yung required. You know it's required kapag naka-X. Pag may X, ibig sabihin required. Pag walang X, ibig sabihin optional. This, as you can see in the table, whether or not required yung mga to, whether or not X siya or hindi, depends on the number of lots or houses in the subdivision. The more lots and the more houses you have, the more community facilities you're going to need to provide. Okay? This next table tells us naman how much actual land you should set aside for community facilities. So it's a percentage. You know, it tells you ilang percent. 1.5 or 2% of the subdivision should be set aside for community facilities, depending on the density of the subdivision. Okay, now the last non-saleable component is the road. No, yung roads natin, yung road system. For the roads, walang percentage, walang sasabihin, walang binibigay na parang ilang percent ng subdivision yung dapat nakaset aside for roads. Pero meron pinaprescribe na road hierarchy and minimum widths of the roads. Let's start with hierarchy. So yung hierarchy requirement really is about how many different types of roads you should have in the subdivision. Kasi the roads in the subdivision, they can't all be the same. They can't all be the same size. Okay, they have to be parang different sizes for a variety of reasons. Okay, pero this table tells us how many different sizes of roads you're supposed to do for your subdivision. So depending on the size of the subdivision, minsan 4 types, minsan 5 types, etc. But I think the more important thing to study is kung gaano ba kalalapad yung iba't ibang type ng road na yan. Like when we say major road, what do we mean? When we say minor road, what do we mean? That's the second table and the second requirement for road systems. May minimum sizes tayo, minimum widths. Okay, so this table tells us that. As you can see on the table, the minimum width of major collector and minor roads, sometimes they vary, especially well, for collector and major at least, no, hindi siya fixed, no, it changes depending on the project size. Okay, so example, if the subdivision is 2.5 hectares in size, the minimum width of the road of the major road is 10 meters. Pero for a subdivision that's 13 meters wide, sorry, a subdivision that's 13 meters in size, 30 hectares in size, the minimum width of the major road is 12 meters. So, it can be a bit tricky dealing with the differing sizes kasi parang it's hard to try to memorize all of these when they are not fixed. Okay? For those who can't memorize yung changing numbers na yan, I think at the very least you should try to remember yung absolute minimum sizes of each. For example, alam natin na yung major road nag-iba-iba eh. Like from 8 to 15. No, nagbabago-bago siya. Pero the starting value, the starting number is 8. I think you should at least know that. Okay, then walang major road less than 8 meters sa BP 220. So if you can't memorize everything, I think you should at least memorize these. Ito yung minimum sizes, absolute minimum. No guarantee na tama. No? Kapag malaki yung subdivision, baka hindi yan tama. Pero better than nothing. So anyway, our list goes, alley is minimum of 2 meters, pathwalk 3, motor court 6, minor road 6.5, major and collector roads 8, and interconnecting road 10. Now yung interconnecting road na yun is this, no? Wala kasing interconnecting road dito sa table na to. So saan nagaling yung interconnecting road? Ito naman yung interconnecting road. Yung interconnecting road is parang an access road for subdivisions that are not adjacent to a public road. So in this drawing, we're looking at two public roads. This one, public road A, and this one, public road B. We have 4 subdivisions, 1, 2, 3, 4. And subdivisions 2 and 3 are not adjacent to a public road, which is a problem. Okay? And that's what the interconnecting road is for. An interconnecting road is a road that connects them, these two subdivisions, to the public road. And ang minimum width ng interconnecting road, like we said, is 10 meters. Okay, we also have to differentiate between the alley and the pathwalk because they're the two smallest road types on our list. So, ano bang difference ng dalawa? Yung isa alley is 2 meters, yung isa pathwalk 3 meters wide. What's the difference between the two? The smaller one, the alley, is intended to break a block. I'll explain that later. But for now, what's important to understand is that it's too narrow to be used as property access. Hindi pwedeng ang daan papunta sa property mo is a 2 meter wide alley. Too narrow, not safe. Anong issue sa ganon? It's too narrow. For example, magkaroon ng emergency, baka hindi kayang puntahan ng emergency vehicles yung bahay because the access is too narrow, right? Baka hindi kayang puntahan ng bumbero pag may sunog kasi the access is too narrow. So alley cannot be used as property access. But the pathwalk, which is wider, 3 meters wide, can be used as pedestrian access to a property. Okay? And also, as long as socialized housing lang, and not longer than 60 meters yung pathwalk. Again, the pathwalk may be used as property access as long as it's pedestrian access only, socialized housing yung project, and the maximum length of the pathwalk is 60 meters. Next, let's talk about the required setbacks for public utility vehicles. So what you're looking at is the subdivision gate essentially. So ito yung gate ng subdivision, and ito yung public road. Ang sinasabi ng DP 220, both sides of the gate dapat merong setbacks for public utility vehicles measuring 3 by 5, 3 by 5. Okay, now let's talk about minimum lot areas. Very important. The issue right now with the minimum lot area requirement is it was recently revised by a memo from the HLERB. But before I show you the revised version, let's look at the original version first. In the original version of DP 220, or before the memo at least, the minimum lot area required for single detached was 64 kung socialized and 72 kapag economic. Kapag duplex, 48 yung socialized, 54 square meters yung economic, and kapag row house, 28 square meters yung socialized, 36 square meters yung economic. Now, in the memo that was released recently by the HLERB, You can look it up. It's the Aichler Resolution 973. Binago nila yung lot area accordingly with the prices, the revised pricing links for each parang tier or classification. So anyway, ito yung single detached, ito yung duplex, and ito yung row house. So let's look at single detached. So what they did was, essentially, meron three price ceilings. No, may tatlong price categories tayo. 580K max, 530,000 pesos max, and 480,000 pesos max. And for each price category, merong minimum GFA yung house. Ang complicated lang ngayon dito is there are different configurations. Hindi siya parang isang minimum lang. The minimum changes depending on the configuration of the house. Like for example, at 580K, you have three configurations available. You have a 28 square meter house with a loft equal to 50% of the base structure. So ibig sabihin, ground level na 28 square meters. And meron siyang loft. Okay, parang mezzanine or parang almost like a second floor. Whose size is at least kalahati ng 28. Okay, so that's one option. The minimum lot area required for that is 72.80 square meters. Another option is a 32 square meter one-story house for which a lot area of 79.20 square meters minimum is required. The last option for this price point is a two-story structure, 32 square meters, meaning 16 square meters per floor. Okay, 4 by 4 meters yung footprint. Lot area required for this one is 60 square meters. Okay, so on and so forth. So as you can see, meron din similar configurations for the different price points, 530K and 480K. It's just tinanggal na yung two-story options for those price points and may corresponding lot area requirements then. So is this a lot more difficult and a lot more tricky? Of course. I mean, if you look at the old version, this was the old version. Now the new version is, it's like this. Duplex, ito yung duplex. I'm not gonna read na all of these numbers kasi sobrang haba. You can just pause the video if you need to absorb this, or you can just look up yung Aichler Resolution 973. Row house, similar. Okay? I understand that this is going to be very challenging to remember. Okay? I'm not even sure if you're supposed to memorize this kasi it's a lot of numbers, obviously, but it definitely deserves at least, some studying. You need to study this resolution. Okay? So, yun na yung bagong version. Let's continue. For those pala who don't know what a loft is, ito yung official definition. It's a partial intermediate floor in any story or room of a residential unit with an area of one half of the area of the room or space in which it is located. That's what they said in the resolution, Aichler Resolution 973. Okay, minimum ceiling height required for the loft is 1.8 meters. Okay, what remained the same is yung lot frontage. Walang binago sa required lot frontages. As you can see here, depending on the configuration of the dwelling, kung single detached ba siya or duplex or row house, may required minimum lapad yung lote. So sa single detached, we have, well, depending on the lot type, we have 4 required frontages. Kung corner lot, 8 meters, no, for both socialized and economic. They're the same one for both. Regular, 8 meters also. Irregular lot, 4 meters wide. And interior lot, 3 meters wide minimum. For duplexes, 6 meters. And for row houses, magkaiba yung socialized and economic. 3.5 minimum yung socialized and 4 meters minimum yung economic. Again, ito yung minimum na lapad ng lote. Let's talk about row house clusters next. So ito yung, di ba, row houses are parang multiple dwelling units located side by side. No? Ang tanong is like, how many row houses in a cluster can you do? Because you obviously cannot do 1,000 houses in a row. You can't do 500 houses in a row. It's too much, right? So where do we draw the line? Where are you required to stop? So let's look at the answer. According to BP 220, 20 row houses maximum, or 100 meters long maximum per cluster. Okay, once you reach either of those two limits, 20 houses in a row or 100 meters long, you need to stop or end the cluster there. Next, let's talk about block lengths. A block is a parcel of land na may kalsada on all sides, it's going to, typically it's subdivided by into lots, no? Pero the point is, the maximum length of a block is 400 meters. And once you reach a length of 250 meters, you must provide an alley down the middle. Ito yung tinatawag nating breaking the block, no? Breaking the block with an alley. Once you reach this length of 250 meters, dapat may alley na siya sa gitna, which is again 2 meters minimum yung width ng alley. So, ang problem with the first illustration, this one, is wala pa rin siyang alley. Dapat may alley na yan kasi you exceeded na nga yung 250 eh. The alley is required at 250 meters long. Okay, this is already at 400, so dapat may alley na yan. Okay. Next, minimum floor areas. Oh, sorry, this is superseded. I should have deleted this slide. For the minimum floor areas, you must follow this. Okay, ito yung minimum floor areas ngayon dun sa HLURB Resolution 973. Superseded na yung luma. Okay, let's move on to this minimum level of completion. For economic housing, dapat complete house, pero for socialized housing, inaalaw yung shell house lang with doors and windows to enclose the unit. Okay, for setbacks, this is a nice reminder that we are not following the building code requirements. The minimum front setback for BP 220 is only 1.5 meters, side 1.5, and rear 2 meters. So I hope you're noticing two things here. One, the setbacks in BP 220 are narrower than the ones in the building code, which is understandable because this is low-cost housing. And another thing, baliktad yung configuration ng setbacks in BP 220 kasi if you notice dito, yung rear setback yung pinakamalaki and then the others are small. If you compare that to the building code, you're going to notice na sa building code, yung front setback yung pinakamalaki, tapos maliliit na lang yung iba. Dito baliktad, probably because when you're working with really small lot sizes, the rear setback becomes important kasi functional usually yung rear. Usually the rear setback is used as a service area, as say a laundry area, etc. So probably that's the reason why they made the rear setback larger than the others. Okay, now we get to the second part, which is all about about the building itself, building design standards. We're going to give you the standards first for single-family dwellings and later multiple-family dwellings. So for single-family dwellings, again, backlocks may be used as property access for socialized housing, like we said earlier. Required ceiling heights, minimum lang ito, 2 meters. For mezzanine, minimum 1.8. Now, yung minimum 2 meter ceiling height for socialized housing and economic housing is clear ceiling heights dapat. Meaning, kung merong protruding beams above, we measure yung 2 meters from the floor to the bottom of the lowest beam. Okay? Mezzanine is 1.8, which is the same naman as the building code, so this is pretty parang self-explanatory already. Exits, 1 exit required for less than 10 people, and 2 kapag 10 or more people yung titira sa bahay. As for doors, 1.8 meters minimum for bathroom and mezzanine doors. All other doors, minimum 2 meters. For door widths naman, yung lapad ng pintuan, main doors 800 millimeters minimum, bedroom or service doors 700, and bathrooms 600 millimeters minimum. All of these are just minimum. Pwede mong laparan if you would like na mas malapad yung pintuan. Now, this illustration is from BP 220. The dimensions for some reason are not complete, pero the first one, the middle one is 700 millimeters wide by 2 meters tall. This is probably a service or a bedroom door based on the dimensions. This other door, 2 meters tall, pero the width was not specified, but I would imagine that this is 800 millimeters wide kasi it looks wider than this one. And kung 800 millimeters wide siya, it's probably a main door. And the one on the right is a shorter door, 1.8 meters tall. If that is 600 millimeters wide, then that is probably a bathroom door. Kasi yun yung minimum sizes or minimum dimensions required for the bathroom door. Alright, for windows, same actually as the building code. The general requirement is yung total window area should be equal to at least 10% of the floor area. Bathrooms, 5% of the floor area. Now, next is yung stairways, hagdanan. This is where we see significant deviations now from the building code. Ang maximum riser for BP220 staircases is 250 millimeters, which is actually high kasi sa building code, if you remember, 200 millimeters maximum lang. Minimum tread, 200 lang. In the building code, if you can remember, 250 yan. Okay, 250 yung minimum. Dito, 200 lang. Minimum width, 600 millimeters. Okay, which is narrow. Sa building code, the narrowest allowed is 750, and that even that depends on the occupant load. If there were more occupants, minsan 900, minsan 1.1 meters. Ito, 600, which is really narrow. Headroom 2 meters, and landing to landing distance 3.6 meters maximum. Okay, so this illustration is from BP 220, and it's very incomplete for some reason. For example, mga dimension line na walang sukat, pero let's use the illustration para din when you see this illustration in BP 220, you know na hindi siya kompleto, and there's actually a mistake here. Let's start with the mistake. No? This is actually wrong. I don't know why nagkaganyan yung drawing sa BP 220, but this is wrong. Ang problem is, nakalagay, riser height, no, 0.25 meters minimum. Please remember na maximum yung 0.25 meters na yun is maximum. Okay, hindi yun minimum. That's very important. It's a very important distinction kasi nagbabago totally yung meaning ng requirement kapag napalitan yung maximum for minimum. Okay, pag sinabi mo kasing 0.25 meters minimum, it sounds like higher risers are better. Okay, parang you set a minimum when higher is better. So anyway, dito, this is obviously wrong kasi higher riser isn't better. Okay, so make sure you understand that now. When you see when you look at BP220, I hope you know na hindi yan tama. 0.25 maximum, yun yung nakalagay sa text, yun yung tama. Next for the thread, hindi nila sinukat, pero ang minimum ng thread is 200. Yung lapad is 600 minimum. Maximum distance between landings is 3.6. Headroom is maximum 2 meters. I think the headroom though should be measured vertically. No, not like that. Pero, yeah, basta 2 meters lang yung headroom maximum. Ito, hindi pa natin actually sinasabi, pero nasa next slide yan. Ang handrail height is 0.8 to 1.2 meters from the floor. And just like in the building code, handrails are actually not required for stairs with less than 4 steps. Okay, winding and circular stairways, similar to the building code yung requirement, pwede naman itong gamitin as long as the required tread dimension is provided at the point not more than 300 millimeters from the narrow end of the stairway, and also the minimum tread at any point should be 150 millimeters. To illustrate yung sinasabi natin, ito yun eh. So ito yung winding stairways, ito yung circular stairways. We can use them as long as the required tread, ito mali eh, naging 0. Again, that's a mistake. This is BP220 illustrations eh. Let's go to dito na lang, mas maganda yung drawing nila kasi at least dito tama. The required tread is 200, no, 0.2. For winding and circular stairways, yung 0.2 na tread should be provided here. What's here? This is 300 millimeters from the narrow end. This is the narrow end. Measure mo, mag-offset ka ng 300 from the narrow end. Dapat at this point, 200 millimeters siya at least. Okay? And the narrow end cannot be less than 150 millimeters. Okay, are ladders allowed? Sabi ng BP220, pwede naman ladders, basta meron kang landing every 1.8 meters of rise. Okay, firewalls are required whenever the dwelling reaches the property line. Kapag nakasagat sa property line, obviously dapat may firewall. Minimum thickness required, 150 millimeters or 6 inches. And yung extensions of firewalls is 300 millimeters minimum on all sides. You know, it's much simpler in the building code kasi yung sa building code, iba-iba, parang 400 above the roof, 300 under the eaves, etc. Ito 300 on all sides, very simple. And finally, we get to multi-family dwellings. Ito naman yung standards for multi-family dwellings. Yung kanina, single-family dwellings yun. Now we're going to discuss yung multi-family dwellings kasi some standards are not the same. Some standards here are different. First, bawal ang pathwalk as property access for multi-family dwellings. What that implies is dapat yung property nakadikit sa public street. Hindi na pwedeng pathwalk lang ang property access. Next, merong required distances between buildings kapag multifamily dwellings depending on the height of the building. Okay? The general rule is the taller the buildings, the farther apart they need to be. Okay, so for 1 to 2 story buildings, the required distance between buildings is 4 meters. Between roof eaves, 1.5. If you make the buildings taller, the required distances become bigger. For 3 to 4 story buildings, the required distance between buildings is 6 meters. Between eaves, 2 meters. For buildings taller than 4 stories, 10 meters na yung required distance between buildings and 6 meters between roof eaves. So to illustrate, ito yung sinasabi natin. Ito yung required distance between buildings. In the case of 1 to 2 story buildings, 4 meters dapat yung minimum distance nila. Between eaves, 1.5. Okay. The only exception to this requirement is blank walls. Okay. First of all, let's define muna ano ba yung blank wall. A blank wall is a wall. A wall with no openings, walang butas yung wall, like a firewall. A wall with no openings or only minimal openings for comfort rooms. Either walang butas or kung meron man, maliit lang na window for comfort rooms. Why are we talking about blank walls? Because when the two sides of the buildings facing each other are blank walls, you can actually bring them closer together. No? Kasi di ba ito yung required distances normally for buildings. You can actually bring them closer than these distances if the walls facing each other are blank. Okay, when the two walls facing each other are blank, those two buildings can be brought closer together. How close? Between buildings, 2 meters lang ang required. Between roof eaves, 1 meter lang ang required. Okay, so ito yung illustration from BP 220. I have a slight issue with this. Kasi, well, first of all, floor plan yung nasa taas, elevation or section yung nasa baba. So, ito yung floor plan. So, multi-family dwelling. You see here, 2 meter yung distance nila. So, blank walls lang. 2 meters lang yung gap between buildings and 1 meter between roof eaves. And sa elevation, pinakita nila, the walls are black. Okay? Ang problem is, yung long side, yung pinapakita nila yung elevation, they're showing that the long sides are black. Pero yung 2 meter distances between the short sides. Okay? What am I trying to say? Ito dapat yung black. Dapat yung short elevation yung pinapakita. This and this, they both should be blank. Okay? And if they're both blank, then yes, 2 meter gap between them is fine. Okay? We don't really care so much about the long sides kasi hindi naman sila yung pinagdikit 2 meters close. Pero you get the idea. Okay? If this and that wall, if they're both blank, then 2 meter distance between them is allowed. Parking requirements, for the slot sizes, we just follow the building code. For multifamily dwellings in condos, ang ratio is 1 slot for every 8 units. And the driveway may be used as a parking area as long as the minimum clearances are maintained. Meron drawings ang BP 20 about that for further review. But right now, just ang pinaka-importante is the same parking slot sizes required by the building code apply to BP 220. And off-site parking is allowed by BP 220 as long as it isn't more than 100 meters away, which is similar to the building code actually. Okay, minimum floor areas. Ang nakalagay dito sa, again, yung minimum floor areas na to, they might have been superseded already by the resolution. Okay, pero itong term na BP 220 condominium, if it comes up in the exam, ang nakalagay na required minimum for BP 220 condominiums is 18 square meters. Okay, the others, yung 18 for socialized and 22 for economic, it's best to refer now to the new memo, yung HLURB resolution 973 for the sizes, required sizes per price point. Okay, exit and corridors, just follow the building code and the fire code. Fire suppression systems are required kapag the structure is more than 15 meters tall. Elevators are also required kahit pa low cost dyan if the building is 6 floors or higher. The elevator's design must of course conform to the requirements of the building code in BP 344.